Hey guys, I'm Someone from the Dark, and today I've got another tutorial for HyperCrown version 0.1.4. We're going to be checking out how to edit the texture animations in the game. This is mostly used for the blinking animations and the facial animations and that are used by characters in their low poly models. Normally when you perform a texture mod of the model, these animations get messed up. I'll explain why in a little bit, but first let's go ahead and extract the textures from the MDLS and the MSET here. We can use a modified extraction command in 0.1.4, and this gives us not only the base textures, but as you can see, all of the animation textures come out of the MSET. And that's with the -A option in that command. So now I'm going to pop the base texture for the face into Photoshop, and we're going to edit the facial texture. Excuse me. In this case, what we're going to do is modify the eye color so that it is, the iconic Norded color. So I'm just going to use Photoshop's replaced color tool to do this, and it makes it quite simple. You can edit the fuzziness to get the color you want, and then use the hue and saturation and lightness to edit the color of the eye, or whatever area you selected. So over here, it's quite simple. And the nice thing is, we're going to have to do this for every single one of the images that has his eyes showing. But we don't need to be super precise in the colors, because the base texture here for his face, the color palette is what's going to be used for all these. And that's why modifying that texture at all messes up all of the animations, because they're pulling the colors from the color palette. However, with this new feature for the tool, it's going to relink the colors by doing the closest match to the one. So even though we're going to edit this and there might not be a perfect match between the eye color and in the animation and the base texture, it'll find the closest match from the base texture and apply it. So we don't need to be super precise in every single pixel having the correct color. It'll fix it for us, the tool will. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this up so that we get through the rest of the recoloring of the images, and I'll be back with you in just a minute. Alright, so now we have all of the recolored textures for the eyes, and all the other ones that don't have eyes in them we can just ignore and use the originals. So now we're going to put the new textures into a new MDLS and new MSET file. So let's start with the MDLS. We're going to use the -T command, and we're going to replace texture 6 with texture 6-new. And what that's going to do, as I mentioned before, we're going to be replacing the image, so we're going to have a new color palette in there. And that new color palette will have the new colors for the eyes, and so instead of blue, it'll have the kind of orange colors. Then when we use the next command we're about to do, we'll be able to use the new recolored texture animations for the eyes and the lips and whatnot. And it'll check each color in the color palettes for those PNGs for the texture animations, and it'll compare them to the color palette of the new texture that we have, and find the closest matching one for each of those, and use those as the colors instead. So you won't get an exact copy of the texture animation. It'll be, the indices will be exactly the same, but the color palette will be a modified version of the one that's using the colors from the original base texture. Alright, so we now have the new MDLS. That's important, because this new command will be used to put the new textures into the MSET. And that's going to be, if we look here at -H, we can look and see that it is in fact the -TexA command, which is a shortcut of -I. And it has this texture origin and reference. Those are two new inputs. So the first thing we need to do is the input. The input's going to be the original MSET. So let's put the path down to shorten the names. And the name of the original MSET is, of course, just HyperCrown v0.1.4.MSET. And now we're going to put the output, which I'll call HyperCrown v0.1.4.new.MSET. Now we need the reference. So the reference is going to be our new MDLS. This one right here. And that's because that's where we're going to get the reference texture palettes from. Alright, so now we're going to look at the next thing we need a texture and then an origin. So here the texture will just be, for example, here we're going to do HyperCrown v0.1.0-M0-new, because that's the new colors. Dash new, there we go. .png, and then the reference, because this uses the 6th image, we're just going to put a 6, and that's going to get the color palette from this image here. And if we wanted a different one, we would use whatever number was in those ones. But here we want 6, so we're going to put a 6. Alright, so now we're just going to do this for every single other one. Now, all of these texture animations, they all use 6. They don't have to, which is why you have to input it for each one. But in this case, they all use 6, so we're just going to put 6. And in fact, we can actually just copy this to make it a little bit faster. And then we'll just have to edit the number each time. So I'm going to go ahead and finish building this command. And then we'll go ahead and run it, and we'll get our new MSET, and we can continue on with patching the game. Alright, so now we've finished up the command, we can go ahead and run this, and we can see that it just goes through, edits all of the textures, and we see all these successes, so we're good to go. And down here we now have our two new files, the MDLS and the MSET. So I'm going to just come out here and paste them and rename them to the names of the original files. Alright, and now we can go ahead and run the patch maker. And I'm going to go ahead and make two patches for this because I'm going to show you both what it looks like with only the MDLS and with both the MDLS and MSET. But here I'll just show you making the patch for both of them. So here we have the MDLS and then the MSET. Alright, so now we have our output.KH1 patch. I'm just going to rename this real quick. And now we can run the patch maker. Or sorry, the patcher. Alright, and this can take a little bit of time, but once it's done, we will have our new ISO, and we'll be able to run that in the emulator. So I'll speed this up, and I'll see you in just a second. Alright, we have our new ISO. Again, I'll just rename this really quickly. And here we are. I'm running the original one with just the texture in the MDLS change, and not with the animation textures change. Just to show you an example of what it looks like if you don't replace all of those textures. So here, we zoom in, we can see every time that Sora blinks, his face kind of turns transparent in a lot of places. So that's what we're going to fix now, and if we go and run the ISO that uses both the MDLS and the MSET, we can see the result. So let's go ahead and reset, and load up our game and test it out. Alright, here we are, and the moment of truth. He blinks normally. So as you can see, you can now edit the facial textures, or any textures really, and leave the facial animations intact. Let's go ahead and go outside of the shack and look at some of the other areas, like in the cutscenes and whatnot. So you can see even in here, it works fine. I don't think I'm going to go around and try and find cutscenes where the other texture animations are used. You'll have to take my word for it that they all work. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. This has been a tutorial on how to replace the texture animations using HyperCrown 0.1.4. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe so you don't miss out on future content, and thank you very much for watching. I would like to give a special thanks to my Dark Side patrons, Stephen Walker and Sephiroth4590, as well as my Neo Shadow patrons, Tristan Watts-Willis and Crackle. Man, constructing those commands are pretty tedious. If only there was an easier way.